Hey everybody, welcome to BrickVault. My name's Jack and today is another LEGO Sunday Top 10 MOCs of the Week episode. This is where basically I show the top 10 MOCs that I found throughout the week that I really liked and I thought you guys might like too. And if you stick around to the end of the episode, that is when I show off all of the fan MOC creations that you guys submit to us throughout the week. If you want to submit pictures of your own LEGO creation to us, check out the email in the description below. And let's just jump right into the first build, or the 10th build, I should say. This is RA66 Rata Axis Mark I by Benjamin Hann. This builder is no stranger when it comes to making gigantic robots out of LEGO. And here we have just a very unique design that somehow spoke to me. It feels somewhat incomplete, but it already shows off a wonderful set of proportions, a dynamic stance, and I highly suggest that you check out some of the other robotic builds from this guy because you will not be disappointed. Remember, links to the builders and their Flickr accounts are all in the description below, and I highly suggest that if you're even remotely interested in any of the stuff that I'm talking about or showing you, that you take a look at some of the other photos in their stream. Now, number 9, this is a build just basically called Dirk's LEGO World Map, and it is by the builder Dirk Be 86. And here is just a wonderfully scaled map of the planet that looks both proportional, and it's very large, and also follows a somewhat accurate topographical viewpoint. So you can see at least 2 different points of depth within the water, and then 5 different heights that you can find for the land masses on the top. In the Flickr, you can see sort of how the build was put together, and once the grid was laid out, even some of the kids partook in the construction. Personally, I've been looking to either make a globe or a map or something out of LEGO for a while, and as of this moment, this is the best version of a LEGO map that I've ever seen. Now, number 8 is a really big build, and there's a lot of stuff going on. I really like this. It is called The Battle of Maerwynn Creek by sirwilsonbricks. And from the description, I think there was also a bit of collaborating as well. There's quite a lot of backstory that goes along with this particular scene, and it looks as though 2 relatively small villages or townships have massed their forces and they're finally going head to head. What I love about these types of medieval setups is that just as much attention to detail is given to the landscape, the structures, and how all of the characters are set up in their attack formations, and it really makes for a very complete build where you can find little things happening in the corners, particular moments of action happening between certain characters, and then also a wonderful, beautiful overall world view of this little snapshot of a battle. Now, number 7 isn't actually a LEGO build. This is just the inside of my new apartment. I got it really very nicely furnished. There's a bit of a modern design to it, and I just thought I'd throw this picture in here, totally unrelated to LEGO. And if any of you guys just believe me right there, at least for a moment, then this builder has succeeded in what they were trying to pull off. This is Evening in the Living Room by Heike M. Hope I said that right. Anyways, this is a great bit of sort of forced perspective. Not only is this an awesome build, the snotting technique is excellent. That is an acronym for studs not on top. And using sort of this camera at this angle with the lighting coming through the window, it can totally make you think that this is actually a build that isn't LEGO. This particular type of forced perspective is a lot harder to pull off than most people might think. And this modern living room is probably one of the best examples of sort of LEGO eye trickery, least that I've seen. Build number 6 is called Vietnam Rocky Highland by the builder Know Your Pieces. If you check out this Flickr page, you'll see a lot of builds that are based on different parts of the Vietnam lifestyle. And here we have a pretty fun little vignette. One thing that I think sticks out the most to me in terms of sort of a unique building style is that the muddy or dirty path that is going up towards the little shack is entirely tiled over. There's hardly any studs showing at all, and that's a really specific and sort of interesting sort of build style. It kind of gives me the impression that it's somewhat muddy, and that takes a lot of extra work, time, and effort to smooth that part of the build out, which makes me think that every little aspect of this build really does have quite a lot of attention to detail. Also, I like the transition of color for the white water. I haven't seen quite a combination look exactly like that within this type of LEGO build, and it just sort of gives a different different quality to the whole atmosphere. I highly recommend that you check out some of the other builders' little vignettes based on the Vietnam life. I especially like the Micro Hanoi build. Number 5 is another build from a LEGO Admiral. This time it is the wearable LEGO Darth Vader helmet. Now, having had a little bit of experience at least building up the life-size Stormtrooper helmet, to see an actual wearable Star Wars helmet made out of LEGO is no easy feat. You can see it has been totally plated on the outside. When it's stacked up, or at least on its stand, the proportions feel a little bit different than what you might see from sort of an exact replica of Darth Vader's helmet. But of course, it sort of has to be in order for this build to be able to actually fit onto your head. This is an extremely appropriate thing, I think, to come from the LEGO Admiral, considering we have many life-size replicas of different Star Wars weapons, and I'm very curious to see if the wearable helmet theme is going to persist. Now, number 4 is really just a great combination of two different builds sort of combined into one awesome scene. This first build is an awesome sort of Sky Pirates custom build based on that older LEGO Ninjago theme from a year or two ago. Definitely has some reminiscent sort of steampunk feel to it, and I'm also getting a sort of Fifth Element vibe from this build as well. The second build here is an awesome Sky Dragon. It's also built up with the black background and has a black stand that kind of has the whole thing sort of blending in and really looking like it's flying in mid-air. You might have noticed a lot of the LEGO Ninjago characters in some of the builds, and when you combine it, this whole scene is called White Dragon Attacks Sky Pirate. The addition of the stormy rain clouds at the bottom is pretty awesome, and though there are a lot of Ninjago characters included with the build, this doesn't necessarily feel like anything that's based on the Ninjago franchise, just a wonderful creative scene between a flying boat and a giant terrifying sky dragon. Now, usually the top 3 doesn't have a build that includes just so much gray in one piece, but the style and technique and the scene that has been set here by David Leest in the battle at Dreadmoor Temple is something that I just really couldn't ignore. The giant dark gray peak that makes up the rocks is very well sort of cinched off, and it comes up at a nice point. And then we have a somewhat Petra style build that makes up the stone temple sticking out of the side of the mountain. The fantasy characters that are based at the bottom around the lava look all very sort of unique, and I have some kind of MMO vibes coming from here. I'm not entirely sure what this build is based upon, and they are standing off against what looks like what would be a final boss, or in this case, a gigantic evil scorpion. There's always something I really like about a large-scale LEGO build that is made from a relatively simple color palette. It sort of focuses all of the viewer's attention to one sort of single point, and instead of having a bunch of little things to kind of look at throughout a large build, you have just one really big, awesome scene, and here the standoff against the scorpion just really works well. Now, I seem to be breaking a lot of my general rules for top 10 picking, but I usually try not to keep a Star Wars build in my top 3, but here coming in at 2 is Takamichi Irie's BB-8, and guess what? This thing is motorized. Now, I think one of the coolest things anybody could ever make out of LEGO would be a rolling BB-8, but due to sort of the laws of physics and friction, I don't know if that's ever really going to be a possibility, not in the true sense of how the actual droid rolls about. Here, Takamichi Irie, I think, figured out the next best possibility, and that was creating a nice little sand stand. As you can see, it's been raised up quite a bit off of the main bottom of the platform, and that is, of course, for the motorized functions to fit underneath. BB-8 just has a single ring that is attached to the main platform, and then his 2 halves are the pieces that spin around, and it really does look convincing. And you know, I am looking forward to the UCS BB-8 coming out with the opening function with the little lighter, but this one's cooler. Now, for the final build here, number 1 is LEGO Spider-Man. He is 28 centimeters high and probably one of the most posable LEGO figures I've seen at this scale. The builder Umamen has put this guy in a bunch of different positions, and absolutely love how they got Spider-Man to stick to the city wall here. For some reason, I just don't feel like a simple set of studs that are sticking out could hold up the weight of this relatively large LEGO figure, but pictures don't lie, or I don't think this picture is lying, more rather. And this is just a really sort of fun style and scale for such an awesome Marvel superhero. I hope that this builder takes on some larger superheroes as well at this scale, because I feel like getting a really cool Batman at this size, or maybe some of the X-Men, could be really, really cool. All right, that is going to be it for the LEGO Top 10 Creations of the Week. Right now are the fan mock pictures coming by, and if you want to submit your own pictures of your mocks, check out the description below for the proper email. It's currently sitting in the corner of the screen right now. And thanks a lot for watching. Here are all the cool creations you guys built this last week.